let's say, for example, a roundabout, you might hit a roundabout like 30 times with different cars. So it's really managing the data sets. The AI model wants to see it 30 times. But you and I, if we should look at the publication, we only want to have one publication for the roundabout. It's a shell around existing 3D software. That could be software from Bentley, for example, or from Hexagon, or from ArcGIS, from Esri. So it's a shell around that because people are used to that functionality already. So you have a Ladybug, for example, a Velodyne. You have a Ladybug 5 Plus, but you also have a 6. But we also have a Mosaic camera. We also have the camera that is developed by ourselves, which is the Spider, which is about 180 megapixel. You can also find local ecosystem for drones that you want to connect with the data set and aerial data and satellite data. It's all about combining all those data sets locally when a local partner is in charge.
Hello and welcome to WGIC Horizons podcast. Our guest today is Jeroen Zanen, founder and CEO of AI-InfraSolutions. Jeroen, thank you so much for joining this conversation.
Thank you as well. Thank you for having us in the podcast.
Great. So maybe our first question I wanted to ask you is I was coming from an inquisitive part of me, which feels like the company name AI-InfraSolutions, the company you founded, has artificial intelligence as a central to all the products and solutions. What is the belief that prompted you to do so?
Well, the interesting thing is with it's AI. People tend to forget that AI is not only AI. It's always a combination between people with a professional, everything about their own market and their own profession, in combination with AI. And AI is accelerator. And AI can really help professionals to get better workflows, to get better information, and from information to intelligence. At some point it leads to better decision making, right? You have better designs, you have better planning, you have better operations or build, you have better maintenance, better management. But AI is really helping, and of course with the upcoming rise of calculation power, and that's happening. Well, we are in an amazing moment of time where the acceleration of calculation power goes up like this, and that will allow us probably 3 to 5 years from now to really redesign maybe city centers by asking questions to data sets. There's one thing that is crucial when you want to work with AI. AI understands structure. You need to have structurized data sets. And I think that is also the big challenge in our market, because if there's not enough structure, then you can forget about AI. The confidence score of a model will go down, and it will not help you. So my background is in AI, so it can really help this market, and we have a unique approach on this. So it's in the core.
Great. So AI is the core to all the solutions and products of AI-InfraSolutions, right?
Correct.
On that note, I just wanted to ask you, how does AI-InfraSolutions bring imagery, LiDAR point clouds, location data all together to make a very informed decisions, especially in the case of infrastructure management?
Yeah, so I think what is crucial to understand is what we do. We do not only capture, let's say, a project, we capture nationwide. So we do a whole state, or we do a whole province, or a whole Bundesland. So we go at scale. And then you have a lot of challenges, because it's a lot of data, but you also, let's say, for example, a roundabout, you might hit a roundabout like 30 times with different cars. So it's really managing the data sets. The AI model wants to see it 30 times. But you and I, if we should look at the publication, we only want to have one publication for the roundabout, right? So it's managing the data sets, throwing away a lot of data, bringing together a lot of data, but in such a way that it's structured, so that at the end, the AI model can work based on the data. And what is crucial to understand is that we always have the data in the country where it's captured. So it's always sovereign, it's always local. So in the Netherlands, what we do, the data lives in the data warehouse in the Netherlands, again, nationwide. But if we would go to another country, so for example, to let's say, you go to Abu Dhabi as a city, the Emirates, then the data, of course, and it's by law also mandatory, but the data would live in a data warehouse in Abu Dhabi, in the Emirates, where it is captured by locals. So it's an ecosystem. We always work with locals, and we will allow them to structure the data sets in such a way that at the end, the AI models can work. And like you mentioned, bringing together the pixels from LiDAR and imagery and the position, that's already complex by itself. So bringing together the pixels and organizing them in such a way that the AI models work. And of course, you need to localize the AI models in every country. So let's say the AI model, for example, on traffic signs in the Netherlands, that's a different model than when you go to Abu Dhabi again, the Emirates. It's just different traffic signs. So you need to retrain the model, but it lives locally.
That is true. We have to retrain the model in every geography where the rules are different. That's true. Absolutely. I was particularly interested and intrigued with given the name of your solutions, Spatiall Ops, right? Where we're bringing hardware, software, training, maintenance, all of them together. How does this help to streamline and optimize large-scale mobile mapping projects that you just spoke about, nationwide ones?
Yeah, so we call it, let's say, so end-to-end means from sensor to servers by the end of the day, right? And then I always say, it is also sustainable and sovereign, it is smart, it is safe. It's always yes. But all the lessons learned about capturing nationwide in the Netherlands, because it's a huge challenge of managing the fleet, the planning, making sure where are the drivers, where are the operators, where does the data live, organizing all of that. Because we lifted ourselves, and it took us 2 to 3 years to really develop the whole software package, and then we have a sensor platform, we call it the Spatial Origin, and then we have the Spatial Operating Suite. And the operating suite is, like you just mentioned, make sure that you have all the handling of the data, it's the quality assurance, it is the managing the fleet, it's managing the data, so that at the end it lands in a data warehouse locally, and all the logistics are in there, and that's what we bring to other countries. So the first two parts is what we bring to an ecosystem, to another country, and we always work with locals. So what we do in the Netherlands end-to-end ourselves. If we would go to Germany, it would be with a German partner, and we give them all the tools, everything we learned, so we enable them to go nationwide, and then we will be at the end with our AI models, and we create an ecosystem where only when they are successful, we are successful. But I think that is really powerful. So when the ecosystem is not successful, we have to invest in that to make it work. But yes, all the tools, what we learned in-house, because we were our internal customer, all that knowledge is what we now bring to partners.
That's a fantastic idea. Another product that really I found interesting, the concept of it, is AI lenses. Tell us about spatial AI lenses and Spatial Studio, and how you create different playlists to support specific needs of your clients.
Yeah, so the studio is the environment where the data comes together. It's a shell around existing 3D software. That could be software from Bentley, for example, or from Hexagon, or from ArcGIS, from Esri. So it's a shell around that, because people are used to that functionality already. But then we want to give the professional an environment where they can really work in the best way, the best workflow for them. Right, and that is, they look for certain information, and so they can buy AI lenses. And what do we mean by that? So if I am, let's say, responsible for park management, I'm interested in where can you park, and maybe where can I pay for parking. So I have a certain interest in certain assets, point of interest in the outside world, and I want to have an optimized workflow for that. And I want to have all the information in the environment. So when I get the information from the AI model, I can also check based on the local legislation. For example, okay, it's maybe better to do a traffic sign, for example. I get all the information about a traffic sign here, what's coming out of the AI model, and I can check it with a photo or with LiDAR, what it's based on. So it's, for me as a professional, I can quickly also judge how good the quality is. So we can always, whatever the AI model shows, we can sample and we can check if it's actually true. So what you see in the market a lot is that people deliver and say, yeah, this is 95%. Okay, and how do you check that? And we say, okay, we follow ISO standards, where we say you can sample this data set, and if we say it's 92%, for example, then when you do sampling, you should prove 92%. And the professional can really quickly do that, so it's not bothered by looking at data what's not of interest. It's only about the right information.
Okay, cool. So Can you give us some understanding about what are the varied applications these two products can be used for, or you want to share any recent implementation?
Yeah, so it always starts with creating a digital twin of the outside world. So the zero measurement of outside, and then depending on the use case, you're interested in the change. So I'll give you an example of fiber to the home or electricity to the home. You want to know, okay, what's the situation outside before we do planning or design. And then probably when you, let's say, go to the market to really build, there's most of the times quarters later, and you want to look at the change. Anything changed before we start going outside and start digging in the ground. And then when you deliver or you're going to maintain, you want to have another change detection. So multiple timings, it's all dimension, it's X, Y, Z and information layers, and it's timing, of course. So I want to know multiple times what is the situation outside. It's interesting for government bodies, it's interesting for water boards, it's interesting for insurance companies, for banks, for fiber to the home, contractors, engineering companies. They all make use of the geospatial intelligence information.
Mobile mapping presents several significant challenges, especially for cameras, when capturing very high quality, detailed images running at high speeds, right? Can you tell us how Spider camera overcome these challenges and how it facilitates a very seamless solution for mobile mapping needs? And that too at scale, because all these projects are at scale.
Yeah, well, so I think it's a combination between you have, let's say, already a high-end data set that is nationwide. So that's, I call it the zero measurement. And then, of course, next to that, with low-end sensors, you can update the high-end data set, but you can also look, let's say, use, let's say, more advanced sensors to do a smaller project. And so the sensor platform, you can pick a different kind of quality of cameras. So you have a Ladybug, for example, a Velodyne, you have a Ladybug 5 Plus, but you also have a 6, but we also have a Mosaic camera. We also have the camera that is developed by ourselves, which is the Spider, which is about 180 megapixel. So you see a lot of detail further away from the street. You always need to judge, what is my business case? Why would I capture this? Because it's also a lot of data, right? It takes a lot of electricity, a lot of calculation power. So what is my need? Do I really need to, what is the level of quality that I need? And sometimes I can do everything. So I'll give you a good example. In a city center, a lot of things are close. And then sometimes you do not need the highest resolution. You can do it with a low resolution. But when you go outside of the city, you want to see detail further away from the street. Yeah, then you use the more advanced, the high-end sensor where you see more detail further away from the street. And then the 180 megapixel camera has a lot of detail. So you use that camera. But the sensor platform, that we call it the spatial origin, is really flexible on what are the sensors that you put there. But it's always a platform that's always rigged. So you put it on the roof based on your needs for that day or that week or that month, or the particular project.
When talking about solutions, I am really inquisitive to know how AI-InfraSolutions is strengthening the Dutch electricity grid with AI-driven solutions. I found that quite interesting. Can you please tell us?
Well, there's a lot happening in the energy transition here in the Netherlands. That means that we have to do a lot of digging, and everything is going, but we have to change a lot of things. So it's about zero measurements all the time. What's the current situation and what is the change detection afterwards? So they need a lot of information. Where can I dig? Because there are still the first time right of the designs is still low, meaning in the outside world, most of the times there's still a different situation than expected. And then, of course, you get big, you get risk, you get damages, you get all kind of things, or extra cost. And that's what you want to avoid. So, well, the Netherlands is a really small country. There are a lot of small projects, but the outside world is changing really rapidly. And so we want to update the people who work in the outside world, the public space, give them the right information and update it all the time.
Yeah. AI-InfraSolutions' primary goal is to improve asset management processes, right, through automation and predictive power. Can you tell us more about these solutions?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, so it starts with, if you have a good structured data set, then you get more and more data sets, and you get more information about the outside world, and you understand change detection. Then you can also compare data sets. So let's say week over week or month over month, and then you can look at patterns. Hey, I see a really interesting pattern here. So I'll give you an example for the street. or a road, there's not always the same what is under the road. Sometimes it's sand, but sometimes it's other materials under the road. But you do not know when you drive over the road, so you do not have that knowledge. But when you look at the pattern of damages on the road, maybe there is something causing that. And if you look at the patterns, then you say, hey, there might be other data sets. So what is below the road, for example, but also weather details or how much traffic they went over the road, all those information, and you start combining data sets. And then with AI, you see a sort of pattern there, and the AI says, hey, professional, take a look there, but something might happen anytime soon. And then you avoid damages, and then you avoid accidents. So, but that is just starting, and it all starts with having structurized data sets. And then the beautiful thing is with the upcoming calculation power, you can combine data sets, and then it becomes stronger and stronger year over year.
Okay. Jeroen, also want to understand the geographical footprint of AI-InfraSolutions. You clearly founded and set up in Netherlands. What are the other countries and geographies you're currently active in?
Yeah, we're currently rolling out to France and to Germany and to Belgium. We're doing smaller projects in Italy and Spain. Next year is the year of the rollout also to the United States, where we will capture 3 states in total. So that's already with a partner that we signed. We look at the Middle East, some of the countries there, and we're also looking at Southeast Asia, where we also have an office in Singapore. So we did a lot of market research the last 2 years. Hey, what market is how mature? What do they need? What are the problems that they have? And of course, the problems are different everywhere. But what we see everywhere is capturing at scale is a huge problem for almost everybody. Then that the data should live locally, the sovereign data sets, that is all in a data warehouse in the country itself, where you also put the AI models locally, that makes us unique. And you really help them to start capturing at scale. So you create this ecosystem, and that's not only the mobile mapping. You can also find local ecosystem for drones that you want to connect with the data set, and aerial data and satellite data. It's all about combining all those data sets locally, with a local partner is in charge. They own and control the data, of course. And we are in the system at the end. But yeah, and every market is somewhere in, and there are markets where it's about fiber to the home, but there are also markets where it's about electricity to the home. So there are different needs everywhere. But yeah, everybody's looking for more geospatial intelligence.
True. That is absolutely true. And I wish you all the best for the expansion plans for AI-InfraSolutions.
Thank you.
Great. My next question is about AI-InfraSolutions association with WGIC. You're a very valued member of WGIC. Just want to understand what encouraged you to join WGIC and how you're finding the journey with us.
Well, I was one of the first. I was attending was in Denver, for example, and then it's the people that you meet, the professionals from the industry. That's by itself. The stories that they have, but the openness about, hey, how can we make this industry even better? It was nothing about a feeling of competition. It was about, hey, also for the big companies in US, they also start thinking, hey, we need to think a little bit more in ecosystems. So it's a really interesting world we're living in, where a lot of things are changing at the same moment. And what I really loved is the people, the passion they talk about the geospatial industry and all the things that are happening. It's a huge market in the coming decades. So and I think we can really make a positive impact on the world if we do this well.
Great. That is true. The world is changing too fast, and it's our responsibility to shape the industry, which has great potential ahead. Just on that note, how do you see, how do you envisage for the industry body? I mean, I'm asking about WGIC moving forward in making more meaningful impact.
I think bringing together the right people with energy and talk strategy instead of operations, right? So it's really talk about. It's rather rare that I have communication with people and we talk about the coming 5 years or coming 10 years. Most of the times it's about next year or this project, and I think that is what the organization is bringing, and that's about the right people, the people who are also have the time to go to talk about strategy. Because that's where you look ahead and then you calculate back to get there. But I think bringing the right people in from the industry there, sometimes maybe also from different markets to have a unique perspective on our market as well, which is also interesting. I think there's a lot to bring there.
Great. You're absolutely right. And that's the very mission and purpose and how what we are trying to engage with the industry players to bring great momentum to this industry. Thank you so much for this conversation, Jeroen. I so thoroughly enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. Likewise, and thank you for inviting us.
Great. Thank you. Our guest today is Jeroen Zanen, founder and CEO of AI-InfraSolutions. Jeroen, thank you so much for joining this conversation.
Thank you as well. Thank you for having us in the podcast.
Our guest today is Jeroen Zanen, founder and CEO of AI-InfraSolutions. Jeroen, thank you so much for joining this conversation.
Thank you as well. Thank you for having us in the podcast.